Hello everyone, and welcome to today's Easy Platform version 3 release demo webinar. Today's webinar is to give you a demo of all the new features, functionalities and capabilities of Easy Platform version 3, which releases today. I'm Sue Kent, the Director of Content and Communications at Easy, and I have with me members of the product team, Sylvain Guittard, Supriya Bhargava, and Bertrand Dunougier. And just before I hand off to them, I'll just cover a few housekeeping items. We've muted everyone to avoid any background noise. At the end of the webinar, we'll open up the stage to questions. So as we go through the presentation, please do write your questions in the Q&A box, which you should find at the bottom of your screens. For anyone who needs to leave early, don't worry, we shall be uploading a recording of this and probably attaching it to our blog that we put out today. And also, as we're working at home because of COVID-19, without our typical resources, please bear with us during the transitions from slides to the demo environment. So without further ado, I'll hand over to my colleague, Sylvain.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar for discovering Easy Platform v3. I will just start with an introduction about and giving you a big picture of what is Easy Platform version 3. Today, what you know about Easy Platform, it's Easy Platform v2. The last version is version 2.5 with the content engine, with the site builder that are part of the product, with our CMS platform. And we have two other products that are Easy Personalization and Easy Commerce. And those products are sold as add-ons. And we all know that they are not sometimes easy to install. Where we go with Easy Platform version 3 is that we will integrate personalization and commerce in the next releases. And with this composition, with the content engine, the site builder, the personalization, and commerce as modules, as core modules of Easy Platform version 3, our platform will be seen more as a DXP, a digital experience platform. So we are going from the CMS to the digital experience platform. If you don't really know about what is the digital experience platform, I definitely recommend you to go to az.no /blog and find a great blog post about explanation about the digital experience platform. This is the big picture of where we are going, but let's go with more details. In the future, we'll have personalization, as I said, commerce and personalization as a core component. So you would be, it would be more integrated, but more modular. You will be able to combine different options. And with this, I will hand it to Supriya that will start the demo.
Thank you, Sylvain. Let me start with sharing my screen. I hope you see the Sylvain, can you confirm if you see the PowerPoint?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to demo today the editorial features. Some of them are new features and some are significant improvements we've done on the earlier version. The first one is improved navigation. Improved navigation impacts every user of Easy Platform, irrespective of the profile, be it an editor or a developer. So we've improved two main aspects. First one is universal discovery widget, and the second one is sub-items table. So let me actually go to the presentation. the instance, and I'm going to show how we've improved Universal Discovery widget. So I'm going to launch the Universal Discovery widget. You can see that now Universal Discovery widget occupies the whole screen. So you have now more landscape, so it improves readability. Also, some of the big changes is the entry points, which is browse, bookmark, search, is in a vertical tab instead of a horizontal tab. Also, the new addition is bookmarks. So we give you quick access to your bookmarks through the Universal Discovery widget. There are a few changes at the top of the Universal Discovery widget. Of course, there's content on the fly. And what you see here is date and name, which is, you can actually sort your content by date, ascending, descending, of course, and the name, again, ascending and descending. And you have two views, which is the grid view and the panel view. So right now we're on the panel view, and I'm going to actually show you how we've improved certain things, certain aspects. So I'm going to search for a content, and I see I have a bunch of content that shows up, and I want to select. So in the earlier version, when you would select a content item in search and you would navigate to a different tab, you would lose the selection. So, but now what we've done is we persist, path persistence. So when I go to browse, so you see that I've selected Why We Love New York City. I go to browse, it shows the selection. So we don't have to click again and reselect the content item. The other great feature that we have is, of course, bookmarks. So you have access to your bookmarks directly from Universal Discovery widget. So one of the issues that we had was the use of Universal Discovery widget when you had a very deep content tree. So I've created a content which is at level 10. So now when I click on this, you'll see that some of the earlier levels are collapsed. So it reduces the horizontal scroll. It helps with, so you can actually even collapse some of them by just dragging in, and you can actually expand and see that, and you can read the entire title of the content item, improving readability. The other big improvement that we had is now you can not just go to the content item, but also directly edit from the Universal Discovery widget. So this takes you to the edit screen of the content item. It reduces the number of clicks for a user. So this was about browse functionality in Universal Discovery widget. Let me do one thing. So I'm going to show you now. What I'm going to show you is how Universal Discovery widget behaves when you're selecting a content item. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this content. So I have a relations field here. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to edit this. So I'm going to add it to my, so you see that I can say I've added about team in my selection. I can collapse this. One significant improvement is you can now edit on the fly. So you see, I see that the label doesn't seem right, about team doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go and say, okay, I'm going to edit this. Let's say about our team and confirm. And that is it. You don't have to leave your interface to edit the content. You can directly edit it here. And I'm going to say, okay, this looks good. I'm done. And you see that I can edit, I can select and add it to the content. I'm going to go ahead, delete the draft. So this was about Universal Discovery widget. The second one that I spoke about was the sub items table. So what we've done is, so one of the most requested features about sub-items table was something from legacy, where you could customize the columns. So now you have a list of all the attributes that we had in legacy. So you can actually select and deselect and customize your sub-items table. The second improvement that we've done is, which is a contribution from contextual code, is you can select any sub-item and you have these quick access points, which is to move selected items, or you want to add locations for the selected items. You can hide, and of course, if you've selected something which is all the items which are hidden, you can reveal them and you can delete. So this is a great tool when it comes to bulk actions, if you want to bulk move, bulk hide, or bulk delete. So this reduces the number of clicks. Let me go back to the presentation. So the next app is version compare. This is a new feature. It is an enterprise only feature. We compare, so the basic idea is that we compare two versions of the same content item in the same language. So you have two views. One is a single column view and the other is a side-by-side view. So I'm going to just directly go to content itself. So I've created a content item and so the only way to access version compare is when you go to the versions tab and you select, so if I want to compare my published version, so I'm going to click version compare. It launches the interface and I can select which version I want to compare it with. So I'm going to go ahead and compare it with version 1. And so this is a side-by-side view, so where I can read what was in my version 1 and what's in version 3, and I can scroll on. But also switch over to single column view, which actually shows the final copy. That means this email was deleted from the earlier version, and this is the final email in green, which was added. So anything in red was removed from the final version, anything in green was added, and whatever wasn't changed remains as is. So let me go back. So right now, the support, we have 16 supported field types. But what will be available this summer will be content relation, form, image asset, landing page, matrix, media, and user account. So that's about version compare. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is scheduled hide, which also is an enterprise only feature. This is an extension of what we already have in the product, which is when you want to hide a content. So now we've added the possibility of actually scheduling hiding of the content item. So let me go. So I'm going to just select a content and I'm going to just, so this is, sorry, scheduled. So I'm going to go and hide about. So I'm going to click on about. And I'm going to say I'm going to hide it later for later. So I'm going to say on 21st, I want to hide it. Oh, sorry. I'm going to hide it. So you'll see a message that this content will be hidden and no longer available after April 21st. So on this date, this content item will be hidden. So this is scheduling of the hiding a content item. Next up is content calendar, which is again an enterprise only feature. I think this is a great tool for a marketer or an editor. For example, when you're running a marketing campaign and there's a lot of content that is going to be published on a later date to the websites, this gives you a great pictorial view of what is going to get published in a single interface. So we can jump right into it. So I will show you the demo. So this is accessible through, so we have a link, calendar, it's under the content tab. I'll click on calendar. So I've already scheduled some content to be published. And so I'm just gonna go over, so you have the calendar view and you have the list view. So you can see for that month, all the content items that are going to be published in a list and in a calendar. And you can navigate between the month, week, and day. So let me show you, we have some filters already added. So in a content calendar, you can have custom event types. And so each custom, so we have one custom event, which is future publication, which is what is published later, and future hide, which is when what you just saw, which was I scheduled hiding of a content item. So these becomes custom events, and each custom event will have custom actions. So Bertrand will dive into it a little later on how you can create custom events and custom actions. But to show what can be done through the calendar is, first you can actually view what all is being published. The second one is if I see something doesn't make sense, like, oh, it should not be published on the 8th, but instead on the 9th, I can actually bulk reschedule from the calendar itself. So I can say it's 9th, so confirm rescheduling, and boom, it's all done. Single click, and your content will be rescheduled. So with this, I'm going to hand over to Bertrand. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Supriya. So Supriya was showing to you the content calendar, and you can see here a sneak peek of a more modified version that has more custom events types. This is actually material I'm working on for an article about the topic, so you will be able to see more. But you can see here that we have custom events. Those are imported from an iCal calendar. So we are pretty free on what we can get into the calendar. When it comes to custom actions, it is currently a very advanced extension point, but it will be added in later version. This here is the basic structure for a custom event calendar. It will be all described in that article, and it is actually documented when it comes to the basics. Now I will move on with developer experience features in that release. We went a long way when it comes to both features for integrators and features in general, and I will go over those. So first, we have introduced a feature that was previously available from the core extra bundle, that's site access aware template variables. So we have two ways to make new variables available in templates. One is a global system, where variables can be defined per site access and are made available as twig globals in every template. It will basically avoid having to write custom code to do that. So be faster to get values into the templates. An equivalent is available in content views where custom variables can be injected, and it also has an integration for the expression language to get data from custom services. So that is one. Next, we worked a lot on the public API. First, in version 2, we introduced a site access aware version of the repository. That was an opt-in feature. Now it is the one that will be injected by default. So every call to the repository API is going to take site access into account, mostly when it comes to languages, meaning that unless you ask for specific language versions, you will get them depending on the prioritized order in the current site access. So it will replace a lot of the helpers that were previously required. Then the whole public API is now strongly typed when it comes to arguments, meaning less room for errors or approximations due to the language's loosely typed nature. It should mean less time to write features because some errors and mistakes will be mentioned by the IDE instead of having to execute the application. Now, as for a bigger feature in the API, we have added a proxy layer on top of the main value objects, content, location, content info. And that layer will retrieve extra data for you. So until version 3, if you needed to know the name of the content type and a content view, you needed to write a custom controller that was fetching the content type and assigning its name to the template. Now, based on the content info, you can go ahead and get the name of the content type. And it works for owner, it works for section, for most of the properties. It can even be used to loop over the children of location and display the children, even though we have a more convenient way to do it because it remains a bit limited. So that should cover the main feature of the API. Then we have a lot of developer-related features. You can see a list of the major ones here, but I invite you to check the release notes to get the complete list of them. And stay tuned for more articles. First, is Platform 3 runs on Symfony 5. It is faster and it will receive new packages along the course of the 5x branch releases. Then we have removed the signal slots layer. It is now based purely on Symfony events. We also removed the data components database abstraction layer that we didn't really use and was making extensions more complicated. It is replaced by a standard doctrine DBOL. We have new APIs for some of the new features, as well as new smaller features. The site factory has its own API that lets you manipulate sites. We also have an API for field comparison. So if you maintain a custom field type, you would get a chance to integrate it to version compare. And we also have a new API for thumbnails that will let you generate a thumbnail given any content based on either on fields or content type properties. It's extremely flexible. The matrix field has been improved. It has migration tool from legacy. It is now indexed and supports GraphQL. And then we have new admin UI components that you can use in your backoffice extensions. We support Solar 7.7. We have shortened the HTTP cache tags, and it will fix some issues some web servers and reverse proxies were facing. And we have globally renamed Easy Publishing Everything to Easy Platform, not in everything, but in many places, like in the configuration. So that's for the big list. Then there is a last integrator-related feature I wanted to cover a bit more extensively. It's content querying in general. Because content querying is an important aspect of what you do on a daily basis as an integrator. You're very going to retrieve extra items using queries and get them into your site to build your navigation, to display them in the sites. So first, we have integrated native query types. Those were previously available in NetGen Site API, but we think that it was important that it was a core part of Easy Platform. So you now have access to a set of built-in query types to get children, a subtree of items, the ancestors of an item, siblings, related items, as well as filtering by geographic coordinates. They all support a common set of parameters, such as flexible way to provide a content or location, add custom filtering, and specify sorting. The point is to avoid having to re-implement those for every project and maintain them on your own. And you can also use abstract classes that implement those parameters. So it would also be faster to develop your own if you need them for advanced needs. In addition, random sorting was added for querying, as well as a set of new criteria, like section identifier, a lot of user-related criteria. So searching in general was improved. Then what I think is a major feature, how to get query results into the system. Until now, to query for sub-items in general, you would either write a custom controller or configure the query controller using a query type. This had a few major drawbacks. The first one was like that unlike relations, for instance, or page, those relations between an item and like a gallery and its images only existed in configuration custom controllers. It was also a bad separation for responsibilities because the content architect didn't really get to put those into the repository. They needed to be documented and taught to integrators so that they knew what to query for. And last, this didn't exist in REST or GraphQL, meaning that you also had to query from those, thus increasing the complexity of your implementations. This was fixed using the Easy Platform query field type that is now built in Easy Platform 3, also available to manually install on Easy Platform 2.5. It will allow you to configure a query, a named query, like the images of a gallery content type, into the content type itself. So this will better structure the repository. It will make these items available from all of the APIs, PHP, Twig, as well as REST and GraphQL. It will finally solve the question about having multiple queries per page when it came to the query controller. And it adds convenient and straight to the point template override support. And I will now show this to you in this platform itself. So that was my calendar. So here we have the gallery content type. And this gallery content type has two extra fields. One is images. It will return the images from the gallery. In that case, the images of a gallery are the sub-items of that gallery that are of type image. So this is what we configured, and we use the newly added children query type. And we map the parameters, the query types parameters to properties from the content. So we want the sub-items of the current content item. We also have an extra field that will only return highlighted images, and that is images where the highlighted checkbox is checked. So it uses a custom query type that is based on one of those abstracts that you can now use. And the result in the back office will be the list of images with pagination. Pagination can be enabled or disabled per field. And you can see here the highlighted images, only 3 of them. And this one doesn't have pagination enabled. So if I take one of the images and I mark it as highlighted, it will now show up in the gallery as part of the highlighted images. So this will work on the front end as is with advanced customization. You can customize the part that iterates over the images, specifying that you want a new template for the images and highlighted images field of the gallery type. And you can also customize how each item is rendered using standard content view types. So it also works the same way in REST, using a custom resource that will return the items for a given field. So here we see the list of the 3 highlighted images, with the variations, properties, and so on. And finally, it is also available from GraphQL, where we can ask for the first 3 images and the highlighted images and get them immediately, get any sub-property of them. So it will make it very easy using GraphQL or the API to browse through content without having to write any custom query. And that's it. I will now hand it over to Sylvain. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bertrand. A lot of great features for the developers to speed up the development, to develop faster. This is just amazing. I will then talk about maybe the most important feature, or the feature that I like the most, is Site Factory. This is the last feature that we will present today. So Site Factory, what is a Site Factory? Site Factory, it's a so far enterprise only feature. And for editors, it's a simple way to generate a new site. And we know that for big companies having multi-site configuration, multi-language configuration, also instances, they want to most of the time create a new site for their for a different country, for a product, for the promotion of an event, for instance. And those companies, most of the time, they want to deliver this as fast as they can. And developers, most of the time, are involved, and it takes time and so on. I know that some of the partners and customers have developed custom solutions since Easy Publish, and they also did it on Easy Platform. But we believe that it's part of the, it should be part of the product, and this is coming with 3.0. So in 3.0, developers will be able to configure in a very easy way, and I will show you that, how to define a new site type in the site for the Site Factory, and how editors can generate those sites. So first, how do I, as a developer, how do I activate the Site Factory? This is what you need to do for defining a new template for the Site Factory. I took Easy Systems as an example, and we have conferences, regional conferences, partner conferences, international conferences. Over the years, we changed the different formats. So, and we have Easy Engage that is coming in a few weeks. So we call that like regional conferences. So for the demo, I created two type of sites. One is for a partner conference and one is for the regional conference. And that's it. Indeed, I created a design, a very, very simple design for the purpose of the demo, but you will see it in on the instance directly. The first thing that you can notice is that page disappeared, and now we call that site. Sites integrate the page builder, but it's a new way to access all the sites, very useful in a multi-site configuration where you have a list of sites. On this table, you have two views. The first one is the table view and the card view. Same features on both views, is just a different way of rendering it, so editors can select the one that they prefer. And on this view, on this table, you can see that I have two types of sites. The first one is it's based on the clean install. So after installing the clean install of Easy Platform v3.0, you will have sites, and this is the default site access. And this is not part of Site Factory. This is the default configuration of the product. So that's why you have less options, because this is integrated directly in the YAML. But I also have on this table three other websites that are, so two are live and one is offline. And those sites are coming from the Site Factory. So it's a combination, when you activate Site Factory, it's a combination of sites that you can define in the YAML file, in your configuration of the project, and also sites that will be configuration of sites that will be hosted in the database. Let me create then a new site. We had a roadshow last year. This year we will create Easy Engage in its the design that I showed you before are listed here. You can add as many as you want. There is no limit. But just for the purpose of the demo, I created 2. So it's a regional conference, and it's Easy Engage 2020. And you can see just below that I have a section that is public access. And I will add as many public access as I want. So engage.easy.no, that's a fake domain name. The status is to define if you want to go put your site live directly or not. You can put it offline. It's just a switcher. And you have to define a language. And this will define maybe some of the developers, they know that, like the fallback languages. So this is the main language or the priority, top priority language. And then you can add like French, right, fallback languages. For the purpose of the demo, I'll just go with this. And I create. As soon as I click on create, I see site Easy Engage 2020 has been created. This is a recap of the site. And if I click on site, I go to this view, you can see that Easy Engage has been created. So the configuration has been created, added to the database, but also the root of this website has been added to the content structure. And on 3.0, for this site factory in 3.0, we create just a folder. We'll see on the next slide that we have more features coming regarding the templates. So you can see Easy Engage as now root location for this site, and I go back here. You can also notice that I cannot delete those sites because they are live. You can only delete sites and the content structure that is related to this site when the site is offline. Quick shortcut, so if you click on the language, you will be redirected to the page with the page builder view with the correct site access for seeing it in the correct language. If I click here, I go to the root, meaning that I go to the content structure, I switch back to content structure. This will be very, very useful when you have hundreds of websites, and if you have like everything living at the same place, this is a very good shortcut. Indeed, when you start having hundreds of websites, you will need a search. So right now it's working just with the name of the site, but in the future we plan to add more filters for this. That's about it for the demo of Site Factory. I will go back to the slides. I was saying that we have more features coming, more granular permissions. Indeed, we need more granular permission. In 3.0, you only have one permission to manage all rights for Site Factories, for creating, for editing, for deleting. We'll come with more granular permission in the summer. I was talking also about the content that we create in the content structure. Right now it's a folder, but we'll come with more in the next releases with the site skeleton. What we call the site skeleton is basically very simple content structure. I mean, it can be more detailed, but we recommend a very simple content structure to help the editors getting started with the edition of this new site. This site skeleton will also come with user groups and user permissions for every single site if you want to define them. And indeed, we didn't have time to do the bulk delete and the pagination. This will come very soon after this release and the search filters that I was mentioning. This is the main presentation for Site Factory. And I will then switch to the additional feature that we have been added to this 3.0 feature. And as Bertrand was saying in his previous slides, that we recommend you to go to the release notes and check everything. But some stuff that I wanted to notice. The first one is workflow, quick review. That was the previously known as Flex workflow. Will now benefit from the Symfony workflow. It has been recoded with using the Symfony workflow. So you should be familiar with the Symfony workflow component. It's also with the editorial workflow. We also added automatic actions, meaning that for every transition, you can configure automatic action. It can be, the most obvious one is publish, but you can push to an external service, for instance, or trigger another event. Page Builder, it's coming with grouping blocks by category. On Page Builder, when you start having like 20 or 25 blocks, even if we reduce the size of the block, there is a lot of UI, small UI improvements on the Page Builder. I recommend you to check on that. But when you start having like 20 or 25 blocks, custom blocks, you want to group them by category, and this is coming with 3.0. More security with the user management. You can now log in using your email address, and we improved the security regarding the password expiration and the reusing the same password. So you can activate, it's a basic checkbox, but you can define if users cannot or can reuse the same password. Small also improvements, I mean, huge improvements for online editor. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter are now part of the online editor, meaning that you have extra buttons. You will not have to do custom code for that. It's part of the product. It's out of the box in 3.0. One of the missing attributes for custom tags compared to Easy Publish, and I know that people are moving from Easy Publish to Easy Platform. There was a problem on 2.5 when people wanted to migrate. We missed the link attribute for custom tags. So it's part of a patch release in 2.5.8 or 2.5.9. And also available in 3.0, indeed. The most important feature for online editor, we know that some of the partners, customers have been asking for activating and disabling some online editor buttons. For instance, you don't want your editors to use bold or embed inline. You go to the YAML and you define the visibility of every single button. You can also define the order of those buttons. Before going to the Q&A, I wanted to remind you that you can go on easyplatform.com. And if you want to see more about the roadmap and what is coming, you scroll down to the bottom of the page. In the footer, you have a link to the roadmap. It's the portal. So this is the overview of 3.0. This will, today we'll release 3.0. So this tab will be removed, but you can have a look at what is coming in 3.1. You can also submit an idea, and you will be notified if. I mean, we can come back as product manager. We might come back to you to have more details, but also you can be notified if this feature has been released at some point in the next releases. So I definitely encourage you to go on this platform and submit your ideas, vote. You can vote for Elastic support, for instance, and that's it. So please have a look at this. And now it's time for Q&A.
Thank you very, very much, Sylvain. That was really great. And to you, Bertrand and Supriya. So I'll read out the questions as we go, and one of you just answer as you see fit. Could you please elaborate on the upgrade process from 2.5 to 3? Is it as cumbersome as always, or are there any improvements regarding making the upgrade process more streamlined?
I can answer this. I don't know if it's always the upgrading. It's I can, let me share my screen here. You see that it's Easy Platform 3.0 project update.
Yes.
Indeed, moving to Symfony 5. So if you are on Easy Platform v2 and you want to upgrade to Easy Platform v3, the most important thing is moving from Symfony 3 to Symfony 5. So it implies the configuration. Everything is described here. There is a different structure of the project, the field types. Everything is detailed. It's not like I execute the command line and this is done. This is not the case. It's a major version, so do not expect to just push a button and have this ready. We have also some deprecation and BC breaks that are listed. So please check on that. Everything is detailed. The documentation team has been doing a great job on this. So hopefully you will find all your information. Currently, it's maybe not really yet available, but it will be soon after the release of 3.0 today.
Fantastic. Can you compare custom field types in the version compare functionality?
Yes, you can. As Bertrand mentioned in this slide, there was an API for that, and there is also documentation for creating custom version comparison of field types. Again, it's on the documentation.
All right. Navigation. Is it possible to search for content types or editors without development by the development team? It may be that I don't know the name of my content, but I know the editor or content type. It would be nice if we could configure these things ourselves.
So I can answer that, Silva.
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
So we added filters under the search tab, but it's a subset of the filters of the global search. So you can search by content type, section, and subtree.
Great. Can we insert a calendar from Outlook?
Bertrand,
I can
maybe.
answer that.
Yeah, Bertrand.
So as I said, I'm working on an article that goes through various data sources, and one of them is actually iCal. So I did integrate my own Outlook calendar. So the answer is yes, you can.
Great.
It doesn't have a specific framework or anything, but it is possible and not very complicated either.
Okay, and then someone's just written query control access facets. I think they mean can query controller access facets.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But that's a good idea.
Sorry. When most of these features will be available, will they be also available for the community version and not just in the enterprise only version? So
I can answer. Yes, that's a good question. I don't know those features, maybe those site factory features and compare version that were presented that are on the 3.0 on the enterprise only. So far, we don't have plan to put that on the open source version of Easy Platform. Everything is possible, maybe at some point. But as you know, this has been very. I mean, for compare version, I'm talking about Site Factory. Site Factory has been, as I was mentioning, has been done before by some customers and partners. So you have all the tools for doing it. And I know that some of the community members have published some of the some bundles to do that. So if you are on an open source project, you have other options to do it. I know that I understand that you would like to see that in the product, but so far we don't have plan in the open source version of the product. But so far we don't have plan for that.
Okay. Will it be possible to register for pre and post events with the new workflow for v3?
Bertrand, maybe?
I want to say yes, but but I'm not
We want you to
100%
say
sure.
yes.
I think it is possible because, as far as I know, the Symfony workflow itself supports it, meaning that we support it.
Okay.
But I might be wrong.
About deprecated message in the log file.
Yes, there is. Most of the deprecated messages were about Symfony 4 and 5. And since we upgraded to Symfony 5, we got rid of most of them. It is also possible that we have a few new ones, but we believe that there are way less than before.
Okay. As part of this new set of changes, has the schema for the database changed significantly?
We
have a change. Maybe Bertrand, you want to answer? Sorry.
Yeah, not significantly. There are a few updates, but they are like minor updates, addition of fields and so on. Nothing much, and there is a script as for a minor version.
Okay. Will there be some migration stuff like Calliope Easy Migration Bundle?
So I can answer this question. We know that Easy Calliope Migration Bundle has some issues with version 3. We submitted some pull requests. It's getting better, but we are working on the migration tool. It's not available right now, but expect in the next months, I would say, to have this kind of tool to migrate content supported by easy systems.
Okay. A few more questions. Is it possible to edit field types for multiple content types? For example, to add a field to multiple pages simultaneously?
No, there is not.
Okay. And lastly, have you improved CMS UI customization? Is it still cumbersome to modify edit view in CMS or add a new tab button to the menu?
This has been improved. I don't know which version this person is referring to, but it's definitely simpler than it was. If this person is referring to a V1, maybe it was the case, but it's pretty simple now to add a new tab in the top navigation or customize the UI. Everything is based on Symfony. So if you're comfortable with Symfony, and everything is documented. So
all of the menus are KNP menu bundle from KNP menu, and they can be customized using that bundles API. It is indeed documented, and it's the same level of complexity for tabs. For the edit view, we would need to check.
Okay, and we've just had one more person offering 2 more questions about OEE. Will you allow us to define embed parameters based on content type? And will it be possible to group custom tags and show them in a drop-down list?
I know, Gilles, you have been asking for that. It's still in the backlog. It's not available in 3.0, unfortunately, but it's still on our backlog. So hopefully in the next releases, you will see that regarding embed parameters based on the content types. The second question about grouping custom tags is still something that something still on our backlog, and our UI designer has something ready. We just have to take the time and put that in top priority. But I did not forget you, Gilles. I did not.
Oh, there's one more question. Content migration was mentioned earlier. When is it planned to become available, and will it be only available to the EE edition?
I think it's referring to the Calliope migration bundle and bundle or the package that we are currently working on. it's very simple package, so do not expect, maybe we can share that soon to the community. I don't think it's only planned for EE, but I cannot guarantee. That's, I think it's pretty simple, so we should keep that open source.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to all the contributors, and thank you to all the attendees for attending and also for your great questions. One last point is, before you log out, we just want to remind you about Easy Engage, which this year we'll be holding online from the 26th of May to June the 3rd. And it will be in 5 different languages: English, French, German, Spanish, and Polish. So please visit our website to register. Thanks very much, and stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in.